welcome back to the channel. Before we get started with today's video, I am going to issue a trigger warning. This video contains sensitive topics some viewers may find disturbing. Please proceed with discretion and take care of yourself while watching. I did do a little bit of research because sometimes people come online and they tell these stories. We don't know if they're telling the truth or not. I did look into this story and verified some of the things she was saying. This is an active case that's pending right now in the legal system, so we're gonna get into as much as we can. Let me just make sure I put my little disclaimer up just to protect myself. Like I said, it's still an active case, so everything that we're about to talk about is alleged.
Get ready with me while I tell you about my ex who was a serial killer. To preface, I'm 18 years old. We met when I was 17 and she was a 50-year-old police officer. We met online on TikTok when she found my account and followed me and started liking and commenting on all of my TikToks. I didn't think anything of it until she started heavily flirting with me in my comment section, and so I ended up going to look on her account and saw that she was a police officer. It went a while until we ended up actually interacting with each other when she DM'd me one day and did the little waving thing. And we talked for a little while over in our TikTok DMs. And long story short, we talked for a couple of days before I ended up giving her my number. And we started texting and calling from there. She seemed pretty normal for like a 50-year-old, but granted, she shouldn't have been talking to me at the time. I told her I was 18 at first before telling her a couple of days later that I was actually 17, and she wasn't fazed. She continued talking to me, and our relationship kind of kickstarted there. It went very, very fast. It was almost immediate that she had kind of put her claim down on me for the most part. She would always talk about wanting to come see me, and she lived in Miami and I live in Atlanta, so we were talking long distance. She would always talk about how she wanted to see me, how she wanted to come up, how she was so excited to have met me, and she was already falling in love with me because I was so smart and so beautiful and all the groomy things. And I'm pretty smart, so I knew what was going on, but I was just entertaining it for, I guess, my own enjoyment. But it started to intensify really, really, really fast, and she would say things that were randomly really possessive and kind of creepy, and I should have blocked her then, but I didn't. And we started calling maybe 2 weeks after she got my number, and we would call during the night and just kind of talk about everything. And then there was one night where we were talking about work, her job, and I had asked her, I was like, have you ever killed anyone on duty, or ever had to do that on duty, or had to shoot someone? And she said, on duty or off duty? And I said, both. Weird fucking question. Why would you have killed off duty? And she started telling me about it. She told me that she killed someone the very first time when she was 15 years old because she was in a gang. She had been in a gang since she was 13. And then the next couple of ones were when she was 18, 20, 21, just as she got older, she just continued. At this point, I definitely should have left, but I'm a curious person, and if someone is admitting to having murdered people, I want to know more. And she wasn't in my state, wasn't in my city, and I was like, if this goes left, I can just block her and be done with it. Pause, look how cute my shirt is. It's backless. So after this, she ended up telling me a lot more, really descriptive details about how the Everglades, because it's like sacred property or something, they go and dump bodies in the Everglades and let all the animals eat the bodies. And she would also tell me about her torture methods and how she would have to do what she called grab and smash, or smash and grab or something, where she would pick someone up off the street and beat the shit out of them and drop them off somewhere. She would have to do pickups and drop-offs for her gang, where she would go and pick people up and then deliver them to the gang for them to do whatever they needed to do to that person. To this day, I'm not really sure why she was telling me all of these things and trusting me with it, considering that we had only talked for 2 weeks. And I was a 17-year-old girl that definitely would have squealed. But silly old me. Of course I didn't, because I didn't really have a lot of information on her and I didn't know what to do. with that information that I had found out, so I just kept talking to her. After that, she started making more direct threats towards me, being like, I really want you to be mine. Like, if you don't, like, I don't know what I'll do. And I was taking that as a sign of like, oh, like if I don't engage in this relationship with you, like you're going to do something to me. So I continued talking to her, and 2 weeks later, after she told me, she came to my city to meet up with me. And I was petrified, but I felt like I couldn't say no because she had pushed for it for like days and days and was being really aggressive towards me if I didn't. So she flew up and stayed in a hotel, and I met up with her, and inevitably we did what people do in relationships. After that time in the hotel, she basically declared that I was her girlfriend and that I wasn't going to go anywhere, or else she would do terrible things to me and my family. And later on throughout our relationship lasted about like maybe 10 months. She started to, So after that, she started coming up to see me more. So she would come up to Atlanta maybe like twice a month. And she would stay for a weekend or a couple of days, and we would see each other during that. During a couple of those days, she had pulled a knife on me, pulled a gun on me, but also promised that she would never do anything to hurt me, promised that I was her number one, her only one, her soulmate, her all of the things. And I felt pretty stuck. I didn't really know what to do. I felt like if I left, that would be like her breaking point. And later I found out that it was her breaking point, because once I had talked about what she would do if we broke up, she was like, oh, I will literally drive this knife through your whatever, and like you're done, like you don't get to leave me. After a while, she gifted me a necklace that was a chain with a cross on it that she told me if I ever took off that she would kill me. And she would send me all sorts of gifts and presents and money, and also a lot of drugs. I started cocaine because of her. She would send me cocaine in the mail, and she would send it to me, peer pressure me into doing it. She would give me all sorts of things to try, and she was a really heavy addict and a really heavy drinker. She did heroin, cocaine, she drank constantly, so she was always in an aggressive mood. About 6 months in, she told me that she wanted to marry me. Mind you, she was already married to another woman and had 4 kids of her own, 2 of which were under the age of 5. But she told me that she was going to divorce her wife and that we were going to have kids together, and that on my 18th birthday, I was going to go to Miami to live with her and get married. Somewhere in between this, she started to grow a lot of resentment for my mom, because my mom was obviously keeping me from like being with her full time, being with her a lot, talking to her all the time. So she told me about how she planned to my mom, and how she was gonna, what she was gonna do, how she was gonna plan it, how she was gonna like break into the house and like all sorts of things. And by that point, she knew where I lived, she knew all of my family's information, and I was super worried. The only problem here is that I had no evidence. Everything she said to me, she said over call. We didn't text. There was barely any like communication or threats that were in our like messages, so everything that she said was just over the phone. Sometime in January, I know that she had killed someone, because she told me that she had to go on a job and came back late at night, had to wash all the blood off her body and whatever, and just, I knew about that one, and that was the most recent one, I believe, and the most, I don't think that there's been anyone else since then. Fast forward to my 18th birthday, she bought me a car, she bought me a ring, she was pretty much ready to go, and I had my flight booked by her. And I got to the airport, made it to the airport, and I was about to get on the flight when my mom found out everything and came to stop me. But before that, I had already put in my phone a statement saying my name, my age, my location, and her name, her age, her location, where she worked. And I clipped every single piece of evidence that I had, all of our sex tapes, everything into a big folder, and I left it where my mom could find it. So my mom came to the airport and called the police and told them that I needed to have a 1013 filed so that I could be involuntarily held in the psychiatric hospital for 3 days just to protect me. And then while I was in the psychiatric hospital, my mom contacted the FBI, and the FBI started an investigation and arrested her on a complaint made by my mom. And so she's currently sitting in federal prison awaiting her trial. She hasn't pled guilty or not guilty yet because they're still investigating the murders on top of everything else that like opened Pandora's box because of her arrest. Her name was Carly Miranda Blum. She lived in Miami, Florida. She worked for the Miami-Dade Police Department, and her life is over and I am free.
We're going to say allegedly this is the victim. However, the whole situation with Deputy Carly Blum, it is real. I did find some information online regarding the incident. Like she stated, a Miami-Dade sheriff deputy was arrested for allegedly having a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old girl. She threatened to unalive the girl when she tried to end their relationship. Now, this is all according to a federal affidavit. Deputy Carly Miranda Blum is 51 years old, y'all. 51 years old in a relationship with a 17-year-old. Now, what I thought was interesting about this is people in the comments were saying that she knew what she was getting into. She asked for this. She was old enough to know better. I understand what she said, that she knew what was going on. She was just going along with it. But y'all, this woman is 51 years old. She was 17 at the time. That's more than 2 decades older than this child. I feel like you can know something is wrong and still go along with it. That doesn't mean that you're not being groomed. With this woman constantly threatening her, especially threatening to unalive her family if she didn't continue the relationship, let's be for real, that's manipulation. Also letting her know that, I got a lot of bodies, I've done this, I've done that. That's also inciting fear. Basically pushing the fact that if you leave me, this is what might happen to you because I've done it before. The comments in this video are disgusting. Victim blaming, because I do consider her a victim regardless of what she should have done, could have done. I don't care about none of that. This was a 17-year-old. She's a child compared to that 51-year-old who knew better and was taking advantage of her. All right, let's get back to the story. So Carly Miranda Blum, 51 years old, she was arrested and accused of receiving multiple videos, images of the victim, engaging in sexual explicit conduct. This is all according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. So the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office was tipped off to Blum's alleged relationship with the minor on July 14th, 2025 by a person described as Witness 1. We can now assume Witness 1 is her mom, this young lady's mom, because she stated before she left to go to Florida, she left a whole bag of evidence for her mom to find. It's giving maybe the young lady thought something was going to happen to her, so just in case if something did happen, her mom would know exactly what was going on, right? Now, 3 days after the tip, the victim was involuntarily hospitalized for a psych eval. She already explained that. But Witness 1 told law enforcement that the victim's mental health had deteriorated over the past year she was involved with Blum. Another thing corroborating her story is that Witness 1 told authorities that the day after the victim turned 18, which this girl already stated, she turned 18 and then tried to get on a flight to go meet the deputy. Prosecutors said the victim checked in a bag and Blum was caught on surveillance video picking it up at Miami International Airport. There's apparently a lot of evidence of the inappropriate relationship. Witness 1 reportedly gave authorities permission to review the victim's electronic device, which contained videos from as far back as October 26, 2024. Obviously, the child was 17 at this time. That's crazy. The affidavit stated that there were Instagram and text message that revealed a sexual relationship between the deputy and the victim. The two would allegedly send each other sexual videos and voice message, all while she was still a minor. Authorities also believe that Blum traveled from Miami-Dade to Atlanta. She just confirmed that, where she would have sex with the girl and record the encounters. In some of the messages, the deputy allegedly provided a countdown until the victim turned 18, telling her that she intended to marry her. The FBI stated that the deputy also referred to buying the victim a black Honda Accord, which we already know. Crazy. Trying to move that girl to Miami so you can go ahead, control her, and ruin her life. After all of this, things took a turn. At one point, the victim appeared to try to end the relationship with the deputy. She took it as an act of betrayal. During the breakup, the deputy sent text messages stating, "Leave me and see what happens." She also texted her, "We're never done." She went on to send additional threats in which she states that she will drive her favorite knife through the victim's throat. Just days before her arrest, the deputy left South Florida and was traveling to Atlanta to be with the victim after she was released from a hospital. She faces charges of production of visual depictions involving sexual exploitation of minors. This carries a mandatory minimum of 15 years in prison and a statutory maximum of 30 years. She also faces a charge of receipt of visual depictions involving sexual exploitation of minors. That carries a minimum term of 5 years, and then it can go up to 20 years. A mess. So anyways, she is currently being held in a Georgia jail where the federal investigation against her is taking place. Now, I did try to locate some of the court documents. You know, obviously a lot of this information is public record. However, there was a motion to seal the documents and it was granted. So none of the information regarding the court case, any hearings, none of that has been released publicly. Obviously, this has to do with her being a minor and the charges being, like a sex crime. They're not going to release any of that. I do find it interesting that even though the trial is pending and everything, that she made a story time discussing this. I'm not sure if this will hurt the case or not. I'm curious to know your thoughts on this. Do you feel like she was groomed, or do you feel like she was a willing participant? Like I stated before, consider their ages. The victim was 17 at the time, and Deputy Carly Miranda Bloom was 50. She's now 51, but she was 50 at the time. Like, I feel like their ages play a huge role with how you look at the situation. It doesn't really matter if you believe that the girl was a willing participant. Just look at their ages. Think about your life as a 17-year-old, your belief system as a 17-year-old, and just how naive you are, right? Think about that. And let's say you're in your mid to late 20s, maybe 30s. Your personality, those belief system, more than likely is not going to be what you have when you are 50. The deputy was married, she had kids, like she lived her life. Why are you preying on this minor? You let her know you are a law enforcement officer. Obviously, that alone shows the fact that you're trying to let her know you have some type of influence, some type of power. And then you follow up with the fact that, oh yeah, I've unalived people, so just be aware. You know what I mean? Like I said, keep all those things in mind. Let me know your thoughts though. I am going to end the video here. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.